You stand at a precipice, feeling the familiar pull of ambition, the undeniable urge to rise, to achieve, to become more. Yet, there's a quiet dissonance, a subtle whisper that perhaps the path you've been told leads to success isn't the one truly meant for you. You see it everywhere. The relentless pursuit of visibility, the constant need to broadcast every thought, every idea, every tentative step forward. The world seems to tell you that to be heard, you must shout. To be seen, you must perform. To be validated, you must chase external applause. You might even feel the pressure to conform to this noisy paradigm, to share your vision before it's fully formed, to seek affirmation before the foundation is even laid. This constant outward gaze, this performance for an audience, can leave you feeling strangely depleted, your energy dispersed, your direction blurred. It's a seductive trap, this culture of immediate recognition, where the value of your journey seems to be measured not by its internal depth, but by the external reactions it garners. But what if the real power, the kind that shapes destinies and births legacies, lies not in the spotlight, but in the quiet intensity of focused effort? What if the most profound transformations don't need an announcement, but simply require the unwavering commitment to execute with precision? While others are busy talking, announcing, and seeking validation, you could be building, refining, and moving forward with an unstoppable momentum. This isn't about hiding or diminishing your light. It's about understanding that true strength is often cultivated in the unseen spaces, away from the clamor. It's about recognizing that silence isn't an absence of progress, but a strategic sanctuary for self-mastery. And in that mastery lies the potential to command not just your actions, but your entire life. This journey we are about to embark on is an invitation to explore that profound truth, to understand how the very things we've been told to do, speak more, show more, impress more, can, in fact, be the very forces that hold us back. We will delve into the quiet power of focused action, the profound impact of internal validation, and the strategic advantage of building in silence. It's a path that requires courage, discernment, and a willingness to question the prevailing narratives of success. We live in an era that often rewards the loudest voice, the most frequent poster, the one who broadcasts every achievement, no matter how small. It's a culture that can make us believe our worth is tied to the number of likes or shares we receive, that our progress is only real if it's witnessed and approved by others. This constant barrage of external validation can be incredibly distracting, pulling our focus away from the essential work of building something meaningful from the inside out. You might find yourself caught in a cycle of seeking approval, sharing your ideas prematurely, and then feeling the sting of disappointment when they don't materialize as quickly as you'd hoped. This isn't a judgment. It's an observation of a common human tendency, a learned behavior that, while seemingly harmless, can subtly erode our inner drive and clarity. The pressure to perform, to prove, to constantly signal our progress can inadvertently shift our motivation from intrinsic commitment to extrinsic obligation. We begin to act not from conviction, but from a need to meet the expectations we've either set for ourselves or allowed others to impose. This is where the profound shift begins, the realization that true power isn't about outward projection, but inward cultivation. It's about understanding that the energy we expend on explaining, on justifying, on seeking validation, could be far more productively invested in the actual doing. It's about recognizing that words, while powerful, can also dilute intention, scattering our focus and diminishing our resolve. Conversely, silence, when wielded with intention, can concentrate our energy, sharpen our focus, and fortify our commitment. This path isn't about retreating from the world, but about intelligently engaging with it from a place of inner strength and clarity. It's about learning to listen to your own inner guidance, to trust your process, and to allow your actions, not your announcements, to speak volumes. This journey is about reclaiming your power, about understanding that the most solid growth happens when it's nurtured in quiet dedication, free from the need for external applause. It's about transforming not just what you do, but who you become in the process, an individual of unwavering focus, quiet confidence, and unstoppable momentum. The external noise we've been discussing isn't just about social media or public opinion. It infiltrates our internal landscape, creating a cacophony of self-doubt and comparison. When you constantly absorb the unfiltered experiences and apparent triumphs of others, you inadvertently invite their narratives into your own mental space. This can manifest as a subtle erosion of your own unique path, a gradual feeling that your progress is somehow insufficient because it doesn't mirror someone else's highly curated highlight reel. You begin to measure your own nascent sprouts against the fully bloomed trees of others, overlooking the vital, unseen stages of growth that must occur beneath the surface. This internal clutter, this absorption of external metrics, is the greatest thief of your authentic drive. It's as if your inner compass, designed to guide you towards your unique North Star, is being constantly recalibrated by a noisy, global GPS that prioritizes popularity over personal truth. Furthermore, this constant intake of external validation, or its perceived absence, can create a feedback loop of anxiety. You might find yourself performing for an invisible audience even when you are alone, meticulously crafting an image of progress rather than genuinely engaging with the messy, iterative process of creation. This disconnect between your internal reality and the external projection is exhausting. It requires immense cognitive load to maintain the facade, leaving precious little energy for the deep, focused work that actually moves the needle. Consider the quiet dedication of a craftsman meticulously honing a single tool, day after day, not for accolades, but for the sheer mastery and the inherent beauty of the finished product. Their focus is internal, their satisfaction derived from the deepening skill, not from any immediate external recognition. This internal locus of control, this self-generated validation, is the bedrock of sustained achievement. It allows you to weather the inevitable lulls in external interest, to push through when the world isn't watching, because you are driven by something far more potent, your own commitment to excellence. Moreover, the very act of seeking immediate validation can paradoxically hinder the long-term development of your ideas and projects. When you feel compelled to share every nascent thought, you risk losing the opportunity to fully explore its potential in private. This premature articulation can lead to a shallow understanding of your own creations, as you become more invested in how others perceive them than in how they are truly developing. Think of a sculptor who reveals a clay model before it has been properly shaped and fired. The onlookers might offer polite applause, but the true form, the enduring masterpiece, remains unmanifested. The silence of the studio, the solitary hours spent refining lines, textures, and proportions, are essential for the work to achieve its ultimate potential. Similarly, your own projects and personal growth require this private incubation period. It's in this unobserved space that you can grapple with challenges, experiment with solutions, and allow your vision to mature organically, without the premature pressure of external judgment or expectation. Building on this, the tendency to broadcast your intentions can also dilute your commitment. When you vocalize a goal, you often experience a premature sense of accomplishment, a subtle dopaminergic hit that can trick your brain into believing you've already achieved something significant. This illusion of progress can then sap the motivation needed for the actual, sustained effort required to bring that goal to fruition. It's like celebrating the purchase of running shoes as if you've already completed the marathon. The real work, the training, the dedication, the overcoming of physical and mental barriers, happens when the shoes are laced and the pavement is met, often in quiet solitude. By refraining from announcing your intentions until they are tangible realities, you bypass this deceptive shortcut. The energy you might expend on cleverly designing these diversions could, in fact, be channeled into overcoming the very challenges that trigger them. It's a complex dance of self-preservation and self-limitation, where the desire to protect oneself from perceived harm leads to the very outcomes one seeks to avoid. Another layer of this inner battle involves the deeply ingrained habit of comparison. You might find yourself constantly measuring your progress against others, not just in terms of external achievements, but in internal feelings of readiness or confidence. If someone else seems to possess a natural ease or an effortless flow, you might interpret that as evidence of your own deficiency, rather than recognizing that everyone faces their unique set of internal struggles. This constant outward comparison diverts your attention from your own internal landscape, from the unique strengths and lessons that your own journey offers. It's like trying to navigate by looking at someone else's map, neglecting the very terrain you are standing on. The energy required to constantly assess your standing relative to others is energy that could be used to simply take the next step on your own path. The emotional residue of past setbacks also plays a significant role in this internal conflict. A past failure, a perceived betrayal, or a deeply disappointing experience can leave an imprint, creating a mental blueprint that anticipates similar negative outcomes in the future. This can lead to an unconscious reluctance to fully invest in new endeavors, a subtle holding back of your true potential to avoid reopening old wounds. You might find yourself unconsciously repeating patterns that mirror past disappointments, not out of a lack of desire, but out of a deeply ingrained, albeit misguided, attempt to manage emotional risk. The key here is to recognize that past experiences, while shaping, do not dictate future realities. The courage lies in acknowledging these emotional patterns without allowing them to define your present or dictate your future. It's about understanding that the weight of yesterday does not have to anchor you to the shores of inaction today. The intricate tapestry of our inner limitations is often woven with the threads of comparison, a silent but insidious thief of our unique potential. We see others' polished achievements, their seemingly effortless leaps forward, and we measure our own quiet progress against that dazzling, often incomplete, picture. This external benchmark creates an artificial ceiling, not based on our genuine capabilities, but on a distorted perception of what success should look like. It's akin to a gardener comparing a seedling's initial unfurling to a fully mature oak tree. The comparison is illogical, ignoring the essential stages of growth, nourishment, and time required for each to reach its full stature. This constant mental inventory, this tallying of perceived deficits against an idealized external standard, diverts our vital energy that could be better invested in nurturing our own growth from the ground up. Furthermore, this ingrained habit of looking outward for validation breeds a peculiar form of insecurity. When our sense of self-worth is contingent on external metrics, we become vulnerable to the whims of public perception and the ever-shifting tides of online trends. The internal compass that should guide us, attuned to our own values and aspirations, becomes obscured, its needle spinning wildly, attempting to align with the prevailing winds of external approval. Consequently, we may find ourselves chasing trends, adopting methodologies that don't truly resonate, or seeking applause for actions that are fundamentally misaligned with our deepest desires. This pursuit of external validation can become a relentless treadmill, offering fleeting satisfaction but never true fulfillment, as the core need for self-acceptance remains unmet. Building upon this, the deeply ingrained fear of judgment can also manifest in subtler, yet equally debilitating, ways. It's not always about outright failure. It can be about the fear of being misunderstood, of having your intentions misinterpreted, or of appearing less knowledgeable or capable than you perceive others to be. This anxiety can lead to a reluctance to share nascent ideas, to voice dissenting opinions, or to take risks that might invite scrutiny. Imagine a painter who hesitates to put brush to canvas, not for lack of skill, but for fear that their unique vision will be dismissed or devalued by an audience that might not grasp its underlying essence. This internal censorship, this self-imposed silence born of apprehension, deprives the world of potentially valuable contributions and stunts your own creative and intellectual development. Another crucial layer in this internal landscape is the tendency to equate a lack of immediate, visible results with a lack of progress. We live in a culture that often celebrates the dramatic breakthrough, the overnight success, the rapid ascent to prominence. Consequently, the quiet, iterative work, the painstaking refinement, the strategic pauses for reflection, the unseen effort, can feel insignificant or even futile if it doesn't yield rapid, tangible outcomes. Consider a scientist meticulously analyzing data, running countless experiments that yield ambiguous or seemingly negative results. The temptation to abandon the research, To deem it a failure because a groundbreaking discovery hasn't materialized overnight is immense. Yet, it is precisely this sustained, often invisible, dedication to the process, the willingness to learn from every outcome, that ultimately leads to profound breakthroughs. The true advancement often lies not in the final, dazzling result, but in the quiet accumulation of knowledge and resilience forged during the unseen phases of diligent effort. Consequently, when you begin to shift your focus inward, towards the inherent value of the process itself rather than the external validation of its outcomes, a fundamental transformation occurs. You learn to trust your own internal metrics of progress, to recognize the significance of small, consistent steps, and to appreciate the wisdom gained from every experience, regardless of its immediate payoff. This internal reorientation is not about becoming insular or disregarding external feedback entirely. Instead, it's about discerning which external voices are constructive and aligned with your authentic path, and which are merely echoes of societal expectations or the projections of others' limitations. It's about cultivating an inner resilience that allows you to absorb constructive criticism without internalizing negativity, and to celebrate your own quiet victories without needing them to be broadcast to the world. This is where true self-mastery begins, not in the clamor for attention, but in the quiet strength of self-possession. The awakening to a new way of being doesn't arrive like a sudden thunderclap, but often through a series of subtle shifts in perspective, like the gradual dawn dispelling the night. It's the quiet realization that the constant striving for external validation has been not an accelerant, but a brake on your authentic trajectory. You might have noticed this internally. A feeling of hollowness after a particularly public success, a lingering question of, is this all there is, when accolades pour in, or a peculiar emptiness when the spotlight fades. This is the universe gently nudging you to reconsider the source of your strength. It's the dawning understanding that true fulfillment isn't about receiving external affirmations, but about the internal resonance of knowing you are aligned with your purpose, regardless of who is watching. This shift is less about discarding external achievements and more about reprioritizing their significance, understanding that they are byproducts of a well-cultivated inner life, not the root cause of your worth. Consider, for instance, the practice of learning a new skill, like playing a musical instrument. Initially, you might be consumed with playing the right notes, pleasing your instructor, or perhaps even performing for friends. The focus is external, on the perceived success of the performance. However, as you progress, a subtle transformation occurs. You begin to find joy in the sheer act of creation, in the nuanced interplay of melody and rhythm, in the solitary exploration of sound. The external audience fades into the background, replaced by an intrinsic appreciation for the art itself. The same principle applies to your personal and professional pursuits. When you shift from what will others think to am I honoring my own process and values, you unlock a reservoir of untapped energy. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition. It means channeling that ambition through a filter of authenticity, where your internal compass dictates direction, not the fluctuating opinions of others. The joy then stems not from the applause, but from the quiet hum of consistent, purposeful action. Furthermore, this internal alignment fosters a profound sense of resilience. When your sense of worth isn't tethered to external circumstances or the approval of others, you become far more adept at navigating life's inevitable challenges. Think of a seasoned sailor who, while respecting the weather, relies on their deep understanding of the sea and their vessel, rather than on the fleeting opinions of shorebound observers. They understand that storms will come, that external conditions will change, but their ability to steer through them is rooted in their internal mastery and their connection to the fundamental forces of their craft. Similarly, when you cultivate an internal locus of control, where your decisions and actions are guided by your core principles, you build a robust inner framework that can withstand external pressures. You learn to distinguish between constructive feedback and mere noise, between genuine support and the projection of others' fears. This discerning clarity allows you to remain steadfast in your purpose, even when faced with doubt, criticism, or misunderstanding. Consequently, this inner-directed approach naturally leads to a more sustainable and profound form of growth. Instead of expending energy trying to impress or convince others, you invested in deepening your understanding, refining your skills, and building a solid foundation of competence. This is akin to a master chef who spends years perfecting a single foundational sauce. The initial stages might lack the fanfare of a complex, showy dish, but the mastery of that fundamental element unlocks the potential for countless future culinary creations. The quiet dedication to mastering the essentials, free from the pressure to immediately wow an audience, allows for a more thorough and impactful development. This internal focus ensures that your growth is not superficial or trend-driven, but deeply rooted, robust, and enduring. It's the difference between building a sandcastle that crumbles with the tide and laying the bedrock for a structure that can weather any storm. This profound shift in perspective, this awakening from the external chase to internal cultivation, isn't a passive revelation. It's an active re-engagement with your own inherent capabilities. It's about recognizing that the constant outward projection, the need to broadcast your journey, can actually drain the very energy you need to fuel your deepest ambitions. Think of it like a leaky faucet. Every time you feel the urge to share a nascent idea or a small win, you're letting precious drops of your potent energy escape into the ether, diminishing the reservoir needed for the sustained, often solitary, work that truly matters. This isn't about hoarding your progress, but about strategically channeling your power. It's about understanding that the most impactful creations often germinate in the quiet, unseen spaces, far from the glare of public scrutiny. Moreover, this reorientation teaches you to discern the true nature of progress. You begin to understand that visible achievements, while gratifying, are often mere byproducts of a deeper, internal process. It's the unseen dedication to practice, the quiet hours spent refining a craft, the unwavering commitment to a principle even when it's unpopular, that truly build a resilient foundation. Consider a deep-sea diver preparing for an expedition. The public sees only the breathtaking footage of coral reefs or undiscovered shipwrecks. They don't witness the countless hours spent in decompression chambers, the meticulous calibration of equipment, or the rigorous physical conditioning. The visible spectacle is the result of an unseen, disciplined preparation. Similarly, your most impactful work will likely emerge from stages of development that require your full, undivided attention, unfettered by the need for external validation. Consequently, this embrace of internal cultivation fosters a robust sense of self-reliance. When your sense of accomplishment stems from your own commitment to process and purpose, you become less susceptible to the fluctuating opinions and distractions of the external world. You begin to trust your own judgment, to value your unique insights, and to understand that your inherent worth is not dictated by external metrics. This cultivated inner authority is the bedrock of true leadership, both of oneself and, eventually, of others. It allows you to navigate challenges not by seeking external permission, but by drawing upon your own wellspring of strength and conviction. The quiet confidence that arises from this internal alignment is a powerful force, one that naturally attracts respect and fosters genuine influence. Another crucial layer in this awakening is the recognition that true innovation often arises from periods of deep, uninterrupted focus. When your attention is constantly fragmented by the demands of external validation, by the need to curate an online persona, or to respond to every notification, your capacity for profound thought and creative problem-solving is significantly diminished. It's like trying to read a complex novel in a crowded, noisy cafe. The words might be there, but the absorption, the deep immersion required for true understanding, is impossible. By consciously choosing periods of focused solitude, by intentionally disconnecting from the external clamor, you create the mental space necessary for groundbreaking ideas to emerge and for complex challenges to be untangled. This intentional cultivation of focused attention is not an act of withdrawal, but a strategic maneuver to amplify your creative and intellectual output. The actionable strategies for growth emerge not from grand pronouncements, but from the quiet, consistent implementation of deliberate habits. It begins with understanding that your time, your energy, and your focus are your most valuable currencies. Therefore, The first practical step is to consciously audit how you are spending them. Are you investing them in activities that move you closer to your deepest aspirations, or are you scattering them across a myriad of distractions, social obligations, or the pursuit of fleeting external approval? This audit isn't about judgment. It's about gaining clarity. It's about recognizing that every moment spent scrolling aimlessly, engaging in superficial conversations, or attempting to please everyone is a moment diverted from building the life you truly desire. A potent tool in this reorientation is the practice of deliberate isolation. This isn't about becoming a hermit, but about strategically carving out periods of dedicated solitude. Think of a sculptor who needs an undisturbed studio to bring their vision to life. Similarly, you need dedicated, uninterrupted blocks of time to engage with your most important work, to wrestle with complex ideas, and to allow your insights to deepen. During these periods, consciously silence the external noise. Turn off notifications, politely decline non-essential requests, and communicate your need for focus to those around you. This intentional act of creating a sanctuary for your mind allows for a level of concentration that is impossible in a constantly connected world. It's in these quiet moments that the subtle nuances of a problem can be perceived and creative solutions can begin to emerge organically. Furthermore, cultivate a practice of internal dialogue, a conscious conversation with yourself that mirrors the depth and intention you would bring to a vital external dialogue. Instead of immediately reacting to challenges or seeking external advice, pause and ask yourself insightful questions. What is at the core of this issue? What are my true values in this situation? What is the most aligned, albeit perhaps challenging, next step? This internal questioning process helps you access your own wisdom, to bypass the impulsive urge for external validation, and to develop a stronger sense of self-trust. It's about becoming your own most trusted advisor, someone who can critically assess situations and make decisions based on a deep understanding of your own capabilities and aspirations. Another powerful strategy involves reframing your perception of failure. Instead of viewing setbacks as definitive endpoints, begin to see them as invaluable data points. Each perceived misstep offers crucial information about what works, what doesn't, and what needs refinement. Imagine a scientist meticulously documenting the results of every experiment, even those that don't yield the expected outcome. These negative results are not failures. They are essential components of the scientific process, guiding the researcher towards a more effective approach. By adopting this mindset, you can approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear, understanding that each obstacle overcome is a testament to your resilience and a stepping stone towards your ultimate goal. This shifts your focus from the fear of falling to the art of rising, stronger and wiser with each attempt. The path to harnessing your inner power, to truly embracing the silent strength that propels genuine transformation, hinges on a vital, often overlooked, skill: the art of cultivating an inner sanctuary of focus. This isn't merely about avoiding distractions. It's about actively constructing a mental fortress where your most important work can flourish undisturbed. Consider the intense concentration required of a chess grandmaster during a crucial match. They aren't just looking at the board. They are visualizing countless future moves, anticipating their opponent's strategies, and immersing themselves in a mental space where the outside world ceases to exist. This level of deep focus allows them to access a higher cognitive function, enabling strategic brilliance that mere superficial attention could never achieve. Similarly, when you deliberately create these pockets of intense, undistracted work, you unlock a profound ability to delve into complex problems, to generate innovative solutions, and to execute with a precision that transcends the ordinary. It's about intentionally setting aside the digital clamor, the incessant notifications, and the shallow demands on your attention, and instead, dedicating your cognitive resources to a singular, meaningful task. This commitment to focused immersion is not a passive state. It's an active, disciplined practice that reshapes your brain's capacity for deep work. Furthermore, building upon this, the practice of mindful single-tasking becomes your greatest ally. In a world that celebrates multitasking as a badge of honor, the ability to commit fully to one task at a time is a radical act of self-mastery. Think of a renowned surgeon meticulously performing a complex operation. Their entire world narrows to the task at hand, their hands steady, their mind sharp, their focus absolute. They are not thinking about their next patient, their dinner plans, or their email inbox. They are entirely present with the procedure unfolding before them. Applying this principle to your own endeavors means consciously choosing to dedicate your undivided attention to whatever you are doing. If you are writing, you write. If you are planning, you plan. If you are reflecting, you reflect. This deliberate exclusivity prevents the fragmentation of your mental energy, allowing for a depth of engagement that fosters greater clarity, efficiency, and ultimately, superior outcomes. It's about understanding that quality of focus, not quantity of tasks, dictates the true impact of your efforts. Consequently, the development of a robust internal discipline is intrinsically linked to your ability to resist the allure of superficial engagement. This discipline isn't about rigid self-denial, but about cultivating an informed awareness of how your attention is being deployed. It involves recognizing the subtle seductions of constant connectivity, the endless scroll, the ping of a notification, the fear of missing out, and actively choosing to disengage from them. Consider a disciplined athlete who bypasses the immediate gratification of sugary snacks, understanding that their long-term health and performance depend on foregoing momentary pleasure for sustained well-being. This same foresight is crucial in managing your attention. By consciously choosing to defer the gratification of immediate external stimuli, you empower yourself to invest your mental resources in endeavors that yield deeper, more lasting rewards. This act of self-regulation is a powerful assertion of your autonomy over your own mental landscape. Conversely, allowing your focus to be constantly hijacked by external demands creates a state of perpetual distraction, where your cognitive resources are thinly spread, leading to superficial understanding and compromised execution. Imagine trying to build an intricate piece of furniture with a constantly vibrating workbench. The materials shift, the tools slip, and the final product is likely to be unstable and flawed. Your mind functions in a similar manner. When bombarded with incessant interruptions and competing stimuli, your capacity for deep cognitive processing is severely impaired. This fragmentation of focus prevents you from accessing those profound insights and creative leaps that arise from sustained, undistracted thought. The quiet dedication to a singular task, therefore, is not an act of avoidance, but a strategic imperative for those who seek to achieve extraordinary results. It is the bedrock upon which all true mastery is built. The courage to move forward without explicit endorsement, to initiate action without seeking external consent, forms the bedrock of significant personal advancement. This is about understanding that the world rarely offers a perfectly curated green light. More often, it presents a landscape of ambiguity, where the bravest amongst us step out into the fog, guided by an internal compass rather than a visible map. Consider the pioneering inventors of the past, individuals like Nikola Tesla or Marie Curie, who pursued revolutionary ideas often met with skepticism, even ridicule. They didn't wait for universal agreement or a committee's approval before dedicating themselves to their groundbreaking work. Their conviction was their primary fuel. They understood that the act of creation itself, the very process of bringing something new into existence, was a validation in its own right. Their motivation stemmed not from the anticipation of applause, but from an inherent drive to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of what was thought possible. This requires a profound trust in one's own judgment and a willingness to embrace the inherent uncertainty that accompanies any true innovation. Furthermore, this principle of acting without permission extends to the often unseen battles waged within our own minds. We might postpone crucial steps, delay important conversations, or shy away from necessary risks because we are waiting for a hypothetical moment of perfect readiness or an imagined sign of external approval. This waiting can become a perpetual state, a subtle form of self-sabotage disguised as prudence. Think of an athlete preparing for a major competition. They don't wait for a divine proclamation of their readiness. They trust their rigorous training, their conditioning, and their ingrained skill. They step onto the field or into the arena knowing that perfection is an illusion, but commitment to action is a reality. Applying this to your own life means recognizing that the perfect moment is a myth. The moment is now, and your readiness is forged through the very act of engaging with the challenge. It's about embracing imperfection as a necessary stepping stone, understanding that initial flaws are merely opportunities for refinement, not reasons for paralysis. Another crucial layer is the understanding that external validation, when sought as a primary motivator, can inadvertently diminish the intrinsic value of your efforts. When your actions are driven by the desire to please or impress others, you risk compromising the authenticity of your vision. The focus shifts from creating something meaningful to merely generating a favorable reaction. Imagine a musician who composes a piece solely to garner a standing ovation, rather than to express a genuine emotion or explore a musical idea. The performance might be technically proficient, but it will likely lack the soul, the raw honesty that resonates deeply with an audience. Similarly, when you consistently prioritize external approval over your own inner conviction, you dilute the power and originality of your contributions. You begin to tailor your output to meet perceived expectations, thereby sacrificing the very uniqueness that makes your work valuable. It's as if disparate threads, each significant on its own, are now being woven into a robust fabric, a tapestry of purpose, resilience, and quiet impact. This weaving creates not a rigid structure, but a dynamic, flowing integration where each element supports and amplifies the others. The process is akin to a river carving its path through stone. The strength isn't in a single, forceful blow, but in the persistent, directed flow over time. As we pivot towards the final reflection, the implications of this journey become palpable. The focus shifts from what is externally demonstrated to what is internally built and consistently lived. The value we seek is no longer found in the echo of applause, but in the resonance of our own aligned actions. The understanding dawns that true mastery is not about proclaiming one's arrival, but about the sustained, often unseen, journey of becoming, marked by quiet dedication and an unwavering commitment to one's own authentic unfolding. This perspective invites a profound redefinition of success, one that prioritizes depth over breadth, impact over exposure, and enduring substance over fleeting visibility. The groundwork has been laid for a final affirmation of this powerful, inwardly sourced strength. The culmination of this journey reveals a profound truth, one that shifts the very axis of how we perceive progress and power. It's the understanding that the relentless pursuit of external validation, the constant broadcast of our intentions and tentative steps, doesn't forge strength, it dilutes it. The world often tells us to speak louder, to show more, to impress relentlessly. Yet, true transformation, the kind that reshapes lives and leaves an indelible mark, rarely announces itself with fanfare. It is cultivated in the quiet, in the focused dedication that thrives away from the spotlight. This silent development, this deliberate cultivation of inner power, is not about suppression or hiding, but about strategic mastery. It's about recognizing that the energy expended on seeking external approval is energy that could be invested in the actual building, the refining, the unwavering execution of our visions. When we cease broadcasting every move and instead commit to precision in action, while others are still talking, we are already advancing. While they are exposing themselves, we are constructing something solid. While they are distracted, we are becoming unstoppable. This mastery of silence is not an absence of impact, but the very foundation upon which profound and lasting influence is built. This journey has illuminated that true momentum isn't generated by the volume of our declarations, but by the consistency and depth of our actions. The allure of immediate recognition can be a potent distraction, pulling us away from the deep, often solitary, work that underpins any significant achievement. We've seen how the internal landscape, when tended with focus and intention, becomes the most fertile ground for growth. The courage to choose depth over breadth, to commit to mastering the essential rather than dabbling in the superficial, is what transforms potential into undeniable reality. This requires a discerning eye, an ability to filter out the noise and tune into the quiet, persistent voice of one's own purpose. It's in this internal alignment that resilience is forged, allowing us to navigate challenges not by seeking external permission, but by drawing upon an unshakable inner conviction. The results, when they inevitably emerge, will speak for themselves, a testament to the power of building without announcement, of executing without exhibition. The true practice begins now. It is in the quiet moments, the deliberately chosen periods of focus, that your most significant work will unfold. Embrace the strategic advantage of silence. Choose to invest your precious energy not in demonstrating your progress, but in accelerating it. Understand that your worth is not measured by external applause, but by your unwavering commitment to your own unfolding. Let your actions become your loudest declaration, your quiet persistence your most compelling narrative. For in a world that often prizes the visible, the loudest, the most instantly gratifying, there lies an immeasurable power in building deliberately, deeply, and in silence, becoming a force that is not only seen, but profoundly felt. This is not the end of a lesson, but the beginning of a lifetime of quiet, potent, and unstoppable creation.